Chapter 24, A New Life. As Sue changed into a pair of gray sweatpants, 2 sizes too big, a stiff white t-shirt, and a black sweatshirt with a worn collar, she pondered the doctor's message. She wanted to believe him, but didn't know if she trusted him. Could she trust anyone in this place? Either way, she changed in the corner, out of the range of the camera's view. Ulysses had earned her trust by saving her ass multiple times. But now, she discovered even Ulysses had a secret past. Did anyone tell the truth anymore? What did the Major want with him? Would he let them go once he got it? More questions she didn't have answers for. If forced to guess, Sue doubted the Major was a charitable man. He'd drain Ulysses' soul before he'd let either of them go. Even if he freed them, they still have to deal with the soldiers of the New World Order. If they somehow avoided all the people trying to kill them, then they'd still have to worry about the return of the Red Rain. The world had become a death trap, looking to snuff them out. What a mess her life had become. Her eyes drifted around the tiny room, more of a prison cell than a guest room. If it weren't for the camera watching her every move and the lock on the wrong side of the door, it could pass as a discount motel room. Furnished with a twin-size bed and a stocked mini refrigerator. Only the customary television and phone were missing. Not that she'd have anyone to call. After exploring the room, she found no way to escape. Not a surprise. Even if she had found an exit, the person monitoring the remote camera and microphone would have ratted her out. With nothing left to do, she lay down on the bed, trying to get some sleep. If the chance to escape presented itself, she'd need to be nourished and well rested to take advantage. Fight or flight. A booming knock on her door woke her the next morning. At least she assumed morning had come. With no windows, the passage of time seemed elusive. The rude awakening from her deep slumber caused her head to fill with fog. Sue hated mornings, more than running for her life. "Who's there?" After the mistreatment she received the day before, Sue didn't want to know who stood outside her door. She wanted him to go away after unlocking the door. It'd be nice if they left a weapon behind for her to use. A pleasant dream instead of the nightmare she lived in. The door burst open, revealing a man and a woman around her age. He stood about a head shorter than Ulysses, packing a massive amount of muscle onto his frame. His handsome face glowed with a huge smile bending his lips. A frown twisted her beautiful face, framed by her raven hair. She stood the same height as Sue, except she had a firm, muscular body. Sue felt like a tiny child standing next to the two visitors. He placed a metal tray heaping with fresh fruit and pastries on the counter. She slammed a coffee carafe down next to it. "Good morning, Sue. Welcome to the colony. I'm Corsair, and this is my goofy little sister, Kitty. Cat. My name is Cat, short for Catherine." She interrupted her brother, glaring at him. His smile grew even larger as he continued his speech. "We brought you some breakfast. Once we're done eating, we'll show you around the camp. Your new home." "I can leave this room?" Corsair winked, motioning toward the camera with his chiseled chin. "A standard orientation, so you know where to report once you receive your work assignment. I'm sure you're starving, so let's eat first, and then we can talk later." He winked a second time, putting Sue at ease. Kat passed around the food and coffee, keeping Sue's plate and cup full. She ate her fill. She had plenty of canned food to eat in the bunker, but nothing fresh. Fruit and baked goods made for a delicious breakfast. "If you're done eating, then we can take a walk around the camp. We'll get you familiar with where everything is and how the place works. It's your new home, after all." Corsair's smile grew, lighting up his face. Kat sneered. She didn't seem like a cheerful person. He gestured to the door like a showman. They left Sue's room, passing through a heavy metal door into the bright morning light. The red tinge had faded even more, allowing a glimpse of the blue sky beyond, tinted a light purple. She squinted as her eyes adjusted to the daylight. The sun hadn't shone this bright since the day of the attack. Sue had noticed the ring of buildings the night before, but now the fence and guard towers stood out. Her full stomach churned, worrying about all the guns and soldiers surrounding her. She didn't trust them. Corsair led the way, as Kat fell in step beside her. The presence of another woman comforted her after spending time with Dan and then Ulysses, even if Kat seemed off. "It's not exactly a 5-star resort. but you'll learn to appreciate the colony. It has kept my brother and I alive since the attack." She surveyed the compound as they walked, looking for any weakness. A way to escape. She didn't know where she'd run to, but there had to be a better place out there. Maybe she was being foolish. The hospital building they just exited stood at the center of the compound. At the far end of the camp, the headquarters building sat. Major Johnson's office, where he had threatened to shoot her the night before. A ring of smaller buildings encircled the hospital. It reminded her of a community college campus, except for the 12-foot fence topped with razor wire stretching around the structures. Armed guards patrolled at regular intervals, manning a half-dozen guard towers. Within weeks of the attack, the major and his men moved in. The junior college campus had a medical building because of their nursing program and an antique backup generator. It made for a prime target for a takeover, Corsair said. They walked along a concrete path toward the second largest building in the colony. The sign above the door read, Student Union. Non-military people dressed in plain clothes like Sue wandered in and out of the building. It's the cafeteria. There are 3 scheduled meals a day. You miss your assigned time, you go hungry. No exceptions, Kat said. People sat at long tables eating meals off shiny metal trays. It would have looked like a normal school cafeteria without the armed guards standing by each door. Why would they need guards while eating? Where's all the food coming from? It seems like you're feeding many people, Sue said. Follow me, and I'll show you, Corsair said. The back half of the Student Union building housed an oversized basketball court. Not a place where a college team would play, but one equipped for intramural activities. A multi-purpose room. They had transformed the court into an indoor garden. Rows of hydroponic growing systems and raised beds lined the shiny wood floor. Vegetables, fruits, and herbs overflowed the structure. Powerful LED lights hung overhead, creating a false daylight. A small group of people tended to plants, picking the harvest. Impressive setup, Sue said. She wondered why they hadn't planted their gardens outside. It seemed like an easier solution than rigging up the lights, building the raised beds, and the hydroponic systems inside a building. It's a necessity. We can't depend on finding what we need outside of the camp. Scavenging has become too dangerous and unpredictable. Kat's voice took on a condescending tone, like she thought of Sue as a child. She didn't know what she had done to piss Kat off. They had just met. The next building had contained classrooms and lecture halls in its former life. Now the rooms functioned as dormitories and workshops. People worked on various pieces of equipment, repairing and building them. Bunk beds filled the rooms not used as workspaces. Third-class accommodations. What are all these people working on? Sue asked. Corsair shook his head, and Kat glared at her. Neither answered her question. Did they not know, or were they afraid to say? The colony seemed to run like a well-oiled machine, a functional survival system lacking any luxury. But she couldn't miss all the security. Armed soldiers guarded every intersection, patrolling the grounds with a regular schedule. Cameras hung from poles on the sides of the buildings. Sue didn't know if anyone monitored them. Nobody stepped out of line. When they stepped into the center of the camp, Corsair pointed to the headquarters building where the major threatened her the night before. In the daylight, the barred windows and antenna arrays mounted on the roof stood out. He spoke in a whisper. The major and his team occupy the command center. Best to avoid the building, staying off their radar. Kat glared at her brother as he spoke to Sue. She pointed back toward the hospital building, the place where Sue's room, or cell, waited for her. The tour's over. You need to rest up. Your work assignment will come in the morning, and you need to be ready to work. Kat sneered as she spoke. Sue didn't get a warm feeling from her. As they strolled back to her domain, movement caught the corner of her eye coming from near the gate. 6 armed men and Ulysses gathered by the fence. All 7 men wore fatigues, but only the giant carried no weapon. They climbed into 2 waiting Humvees, driving through the gate. Ulysses never looked her way, remaining focused on his companions. Where are they taking Ulysses? You need to worry about yourself. Kat grabbed her arm, dragging her toward the prison in the hospital building. She pissed Sue off. Corsair followed, keeping his mouth shut. He had seemed friendly, but Sue doubted her judgment. They reached the door to her cell in silence. Her skin burned from Kat's iron grip. Sue wanted to punch the woman, thinking better of the idea. She didn't know who to trust. Everyone she met turned on her or disappeared. The colony appeared safe, but something wasn't right here. At least for those not loyal to the Major. Corsair opened the door to Sue's room, leaning in to whisper to her, "Be ready to go at midnight. Ulysses' orders." The heavy door clanked closed behind her. A click told her he locked the deadbolt, trapping her inside. She tried the door, confirming her hypothesis. Her heart raced, wondering what would happen at midnight.